The quiet dawn moved through the empty space between stars. It was a Valoran survey vessel, built for exploration and science, not for war. Commander Thylas Venn stood at the center of the bridge, her forearms folded across her chest as she watched the main screen. Her compound eyes reflected the distant stars, and her antennae twitched with each new piece of data that came through the sensors. "Commander, I am picking up something strange," said Navigator Kira from her station. The young Valoran's voice carried a note of confusion. "There is a vessel ahead. It is drifting without power." Thylas turned to face her. "What kind of vessel? Can you identify it?" Kira's thin fingers moved across her console. "No, Commander. The design does not match anything in our database. It is unknown." Science Officer Draal floated closer to the main screen. He was a Marvaxian, a species that had evolved in deep oceans. His body was soft and covered in pale blue skin, with dozens of small tentacles that helped him move and work. His large black eyes studied the image on the screen with great interest. "This is very unusual," Draal said. "The hull composition is unlike anything I have seen before. The metal is dense and heavy. Whoever built this ship came from a world with strong gravity." Thylas felt a cold sensation move through her body. Strong gravity meant a dangerous world. The Galactic Council had a system for rating planets based on how deadly they were. Most civilized species came from worlds rated between Class 1 and Class 5. Anything above Class 10 was considered too dangerous for intelligent life to evolve. "Can you trace where this ship came from?" Thylas asked. Draal worked at his station for several minutes. The bridge was silent, except for the soft hum of the ship's systems. When Draal finally spoke, his voice was barely above a whisper. "Commander, the origin coordinates point to a world in the outer spiral arm. A world that is rated as Class 15. The entire bridge crew stopped what they were doing." Kira made a small sound of fear. Even the ship's automated systems seemed to pause. "That is impossible," Thylas said. "Class 15 worlds cannot support intelligent life. Nothing could survive such conditions." Draal's tentacles moved in a gesture of uncertainty. "I have checked the data 3 times. There is no mistake. This vessel came from a Class 15 Deathworld." Thylas walked closer to the screen. The unknown ship hung in space, dark and silent. It showed signs of heavy damage. Burn marks covered the hull, and several sections had been torn open by weapons fire. But the ship was still in one piece. It had survived whatever attack had hit it. "Send a drone to get a closer look," Thylas ordered. The drone launched from the quiet dawn and crossed the distance in minutes. It circled the damaged vessel, sending back detailed images and sensor data. Thylas watched as the pictures appeared on her screen. The ship was larger than she had expected. It was built with thick armor and reinforced supports. Everything about it suggested strength and durability. The design was practical, with no decorations or unnecessary features. This was a ship built by a species that expected danger. "There are markings on the hull," Draal reported. "Letters and numbers in an unknown language. I am attempting to translate." The drone moved closer to the ship's nameplate. Strange symbols appeared on the screen. After several moments, Draal spoke again. "The translation software has found a match. The ship is called Starward Hope." "Hope," Thylas repeated. "An interesting name for a vessel from a Deathworld." Kira raised her hand nervously. "Commander, I must ask, are we really going to investigate this ship? If its crew came from a Class 15 world, they must be incredibly dangerous." Thylas considered the question. Every instinct told her to turn the quiet dawn around and report this finding from a safe distance. But she was also a scientist. The chance to study a species from a Deathworld was something no researcher could ignore. "We will approach carefully," she said. Draal, what do the life signs show? Draal checked his sensors. There is partial life support still functioning in one section of the ship. I am detecting 3 life forms, but their signals are weak. They may be injured or dying. 3 survivors. 3 beings from a world so deadly that even looking at it through a telescope was considered risky. Thylas knew she should be afraid. She was afraid, but she was also curious. Prepare a boarding team, she said. We will investigate. Commander, is that wise? Kira asked. Thylas turned to face her young navigator. Perhaps not. But if there are survivors on that ship, they need help. We cannot simply leave them to die, no matter where they come from. Draal nodded his large head. I agree with the commander. This is a chance to learn something new. Fear should not stop us from seeking knowledge. The boarding team assembled near the airlock. 5 Valorans in environmental suits, plus Draal, who would serve as the science specialist. They carried medical supplies and translation devices, along with small weapons for defense. Thylas watched them prepare. She would not be joining the team herself. As commander, her place was on the bridge. But she would be watching everything through their suit cameras. Remember, she told them through the communication system. We do not know what we will find over there. Be careful, be respectful, and be ready for anything. The airlock opened, and the team crossed the dark space between the 2 ships. Thylas watched on her screen as they approached the damaged vessel called Starward Hope. She did not know it yet, but this moment would change everything. The galaxy was about to meet humanity for the first time. The boarding team entered the Starward Hope through an emergency airlock on the lower deck. The moment they stepped inside, Draal knew something was wrong. The air was thick and heavy, pressing against his body like a weight. The gravity pulled at him with a force that made his tentacles ache. The environmental conditions are extreme, one of the Valoran team members reported. Gravity is nearly twice our standard. Oxygen levels are high. Temperature is warm. Draal moved slowly through the corridor. His translation device scanned the writing on the walls, turning the strange symbols into words he could understand. Emergency exit. Medical bay. Engineering. The signs were simple and direct, just like the ship itself. The damage inside was worse than it had appeared from outside. Blast marks covered the walls. Cables hung from broken ceiling panels. Dark stains on the floor suggested that blood had been spilled here. The crew of this ship had fought hard. Over here, called one of the Valorans. I found something. Draal floated toward the voice. In a small room near the corridor, they found the body of one of the ship's crew. It was a tall being with smooth skin, 2 arms, and 2 legs. Its eyes were closed, and it did not move. Is this what they look like? Kira asked through the communication system. Her voice shook with fear. Draal scanned the body with his instruments. Yes, this appears to be a member of the Deathworld species. The cellular structure is remarkable. Their bodies are designed to resist damage, fight disease, and heal quickly. This being was killed by weapons fire, but its body was already trying to repair itself when it died. The Valoran team members looked at each other. A species that could heal itself. That was not normal. That was frightening. They continued deeper into the ship. Evidence of the battle was everywhere. The crew had set up barriers and fighting positions. They had not run or hidden. They had stood and fought against whoever attacked them. The life signs are coming from ahead, Draal said. The medical bay. The door to the medical bay was sealed tight. One of the Valorans tried to open it, but the controls were locked from inside. They stood there for a moment, unsure what to do. Then a voice came through the door. It was rough and tired, speaking in the unknown language. Whoever you are, we are armed. State your intentions. Draal activated his translation device. "We are from the Valoran survey vessel, Quiet Dawn. We detected your ship and came to offer help. We mean you no harm." There was a long silence. Drawl could imagine the survivors inside, trying to decide if this was a trick. After everything they had been through, they had every reason to be suspicious. Finally, the door opened. The medical bay was small but well-equipped. 3 beings stood inside, all of them injured to some degree. The first was a male with dark hair and a face marked by cuts and bruises. He held a weapon in his hands, pointed at the floor but ready to rise. The second was a female with lighter hair tied back from her face. She stood near a medical bed, her hands wrapped in bandages. The third was an older male with gray in his hair, leaning against the wall with one leg wrapped in a support brace. The dark-haired male spoke. "I am Lieutenant Commander Daniel Cruz. This is Dr. Lisa Brennan and Chief Engineer Kevin Park. We are the only survivors." Drawl translated for the boarding team, then responded. "I am Science Officer Drawl. We received no distress signal from your ship. What happened here?" Daniel lowered his weapon slightly. "Raiders. They hit our convoy 3 weeks ago. We were carrying supplies to a new colony. They killed most of our people and took what they wanted. We have been drifting ever since, trying to keep the ship alive. 3 weeks. These beings had survived for 3 weeks on a damaged ship with failing systems." Drawl could not believe it. "How is that possible?" he asked. "Your life support was almost gone. Your food and water must have run out." Kevin, the older male, let out a short laugh. "We rationed everything. Slept in shifts to save oxygen. I kept the reactor running with spare parts and hope." Lisa, the female, added, "We treated our own wounds. Made medicine from what we had." Daniel even pulled a piece of metal from his own shoulder. The Valoran team members made sounds of shock, pulling metal from one's own body, rationing air to survive. These beings were not just strong. They were impossibly tough. Commander Thylas spoke through the communication system. "Drawl, bring them to the Quiet Dawn. They need proper medical care." Drawl passed along the offer. Daniel looked at his 2 companions. Something passed between them, a silent conversation that needed no words. Then Daniel nodded. "We accept your help, but understand this. We will not be prisoners. If you try to harm us, we will fight." His voice was calm and clear. He was injured, tired, and outnumbered. But he was not afraid. Drawl realized that this male would fight until his last breath if he had to. "You will not be prisoners," Drawl said. "You will be guests." The journey back to the Quiet Dawn was slow. The humans, as they called themselves, moved carefully through the high gravity that felt normal to them but crushed the Valorans. Daniel stayed at the back of the group, watching for danger even now. Lisa helped one of the Valoran team members who was struggling with the weight of his equipment. Kevin talked quietly with another Valoran about the ship's engineering. When they finally reached the Quiet Dawn, the humans stepped through the airlock and stopped. The lower gravity made them stand up straighter. The cooler air made them breathe easier. "This feels strange," Lisa said. "Like walking on a cloud." Daniel looked around at the alien ship. His eyes took in everything, measuring, calculating. "Thank you for helping us," he said. "We were running out of time." Commander Thylas stepped forward to meet them. She was taller than the humans, with 4 arms and compound eyes that reflected the light. But Daniel did not flinch or step back. He simply looked at her with tired eyes and gave a small nod of respect. "Welcome aboard," Thylas said. "We have much to discuss." She did not know how right she was. The humans had arrived, and nothing in the galaxy would ever be the same. The medical bay of the Quiet Dawn was not designed for humans. The beds were too short, the tools were too small, and the medicines were made for Valoran biology. But Dr. Lisa Brennan did not complain. She simply adapted. "Your blood is fascinating," said the Valoran medical officer, a thin female named Tesra. "It carries oxygen and fights disease at the same time. Your white blood cells are like tiny warriors." Lisa smiled at the description. "We call them that too, actually. Our immune system has to be strong. Our world is full of things that want to kill us." Ezra's antennae twitched with concern. "What kind of things?" "Bacteria, viruses, parasites, fungi. They are everywhere on Earth, in the air, in the water, in the soil. Our bodies are constantly fighting to stay alive." Peshra looked like she might faint. "How do you survive childhood?" "Many did not, for most of our history," Lisa said. "We developed medicine, vaccines, antibiotics. We learned to fight back." In another part of the ship, Science Officer Drawl sat with Daniel Cruz in the observation room. The stars outside were beautiful, but Daniel barely looked at them. His mind was clearly somewhere else. "Tell me about your world," Drawl said. "The Galactic Archive has data on it, but I want to hear from someone who has lived there." Daniel took a deep breath. "Earth is beautiful. Blue oceans, green forests, white mountains. It has everything. The archive says it is a Class-15 Deathworld," Drawl said carefully. "The most dangerous rating possible." Daniel laughed. It was a short, tired sound. "I suppose it is dangerous if you are not used to it. We have storms that can flatten cities, earthquakes that crack the ground open, volcanoes that bury whole regions in ash. The seasons change from burning hot to freezing cold." Drawl's tentacles curled inward with fear. "And you live through all of this?" "We build shelters. We predict the weather. We avoid the most dangerous areas. Humans are good at adapting. What about the wildlife?" Drawl asked. He had read the archive entry on Earth's animals. It had given him nightmares. "Oh, we have predators," Daniel said casually. "Big cats, wolves, bears, sharks, venomous snakes and spiders. But the most dangerous animals are the small ones. Mosquitoes carry diseases that have killed millions of us. Tiny creatures you cannot even see can make you sick." Drawl made a sound of pure horror. "And you go outside? Willingly?" "We go camping," Daniel said with a small smile. "For fun." In the engineering section, Kevin Park was having a similar conversation with the Valoran engineers. They gathered around him like students around a teacher, amazed by everything he said. "Your reactor is very efficient," Kevin told them. "But you could get more power if you redirected the coolant flow." "We cannot do that," one of the engineers said. "The heat would damage the systems." Kevin shrugged. "On our ships, we build everything to handle high heat. Our homeworld has areas where the ground itself is hot enough to cook food." "How hot?" "Some places reach temperatures that would melt your hull," Kevin said. "We have learned to use that heat as energy." The engineers looked at each other in disbelief. These humans came from a world of fire and ice, where the very planet tried to kill them every day. And they had not just survived. They had built cities, created technology, and traveled to the stars. Commander Thylas called a meeting in the ship's conference room. The three humans sat on one side of the table, the senior Valoran officers on the other. Drawl projected a map of the galaxy on the wall. "We need to report this contact to the Galactic Council," Thylas said. "A new species from a Class-15 world is significant news. They will want to know everything." Daniel leaned forward. "What will happen to us?" Thylas was honest. "I do not know. Some species may fear you. Others may want to study you. The Council will decide." "We are not specimens," Daniel said firmly. "We are people. We have families, homes, a civilization. We did not ask to be found like this." "I understand," Thylas said. "But you must also understand our position. Your kind is unlike anything we have encountered. The strength and durability of your bodies, your resistance to pain and disease, your ability to survive in conditions that would kill any of us. It is frightening. Lisa spoke up. We are not here to hurt anyone. We were just trying to deliver supplies to people who needed them. The raiders attacked us, not the other way around. I believe you, Tyler said. But belief is not proof. The council will need more than my word. The meeting was interrupted by an alarm. Kira's voice came through the speakers, sharp with fear. Commander, we have contacts dropping out of faster-than-light travel. 3 ships. They matched the energy signature of the vessels that attacked the Starward Hope. The raiders had found them. Daniel stood up immediately. His injuries were still healing, but his eyes were sharp and clear. They are coming back to finish what they started. We should run, Kira said through the speaker. The Quiet Dawn is not built for combat. Kevin looked at Daniel. Lisa looked at Daniel. Everyone looked at Daniel. Running will not work, he said. They are faster than you. They will catch you. Then what do you suggest? Thylas asked. Daniel's face grew hard. Let us help you fight. The room went silent. The idea of the wounded humans fighting was strange enough. But the look in Daniel's eyes said something more. It said that these beings from the Deathworld knew how to do violence when they needed to. We do not have weapons for you, Tyler said. We do not need weapons, Daniel replied. We need access to your systems. Give us a role to play, and we will show you how humans survive. Thylas looked at her officers. They looked back at her. Outside, the raider ships were getting closer. Time was running out. Very well, she said. Show us what Deathworlders can do. The 3 raider ships moved toward the Quiet Dawn like predators closing in on wounded prey. They were craft vessels, built by a species known throughout the sector for violence and theft. The craft did not negotiate. They did not show mercy. They took what they wanted and killed anyone who tried to stop them. Commander Thylas watched them approach on the main screen. Her 4 hands gripped the arms of her chair. The Quiet Dawn had basic defensive weapons, but it was a survey ship. It was never meant to fight. All stations report ready, she ordered. Behind her, something unexpected happened. Daniel Cruz walked onto the bridge. His wounds had been treated, but he still moved with some pain. That did not seem to matter to him. He walked to the weapons console and stood beside the Valoran officer there. May I? Daniel asked. The Valoran looked at Thylas. She nodded. The officer stepped aside, and Daniel took his place. His hands moved over the controls, learning them by touch. Your targeting system is very accurate, Daniel said, but it is too slow. It waits for a perfect shot. Sometimes you need to fire fast and adjust. That wastes ammunition, the weapons officer said. That keeps you alive, Daniel replied. In engineering, Kevin Park was already making changes. The Valoran engineers watched with wide eyes as he redirected. Power from non-essential systems to the shields and weapons. You cannot take power from life support, one of them protested. I am not taking it from life support, Kevin said. I am taking it from the lighting, the heating, and the recreational areas. You do not need those things right now. You need shields. The engines hummed louder as more power flowed through them. Kevin smiled at the sound. That is better. In the medical bay, Lisa Brennan prepared for casualties. She worked alongside Hesra, setting up beds and organizing supplies. Her movements were quick and efficient, born from years of emergency training. The Krath are cruel, Hesra said quietly. If they board us, they will not take prisoners. Then we will not let them board, Lisa said. And if they try, I will be ready. Hesra looked at the human female with new respect. Lisa was a healer, but she was also willing to fight. On Earth, It seemed everyone was a warrior when they needed to be. The first attack came without warning. The craft ships opened fire, sending beams of energy toward the quiet dawn. The shields held, but barely. The ship shook with each impact. "Return fire," Thylas ordered. Daniel's hands moved over the weapons console. The quiet dawn's guns fired in quick bursts, not the careful aimed shots the Valorans preferred. Most of the shots missed, but some hit. One of the craft ships took damage to its forward section. "You hit them," the weapons officer said with surprise. "Keep shooting," Daniel said. "Do not give them time to think." The craft had not expected resistance. They had thought the survey ship would run or surrender. Instead, it was fighting back with a speed and aggression that confused them. Their formation broke apart as each ship tried to find a better angle of attack. "They are separating," Kira reported from navigation. "They are trying to surround us." Daniel looked at the tactical display. His mind worked quickly, processing information the way humans had been doing since the first hunters tracked animals across the plains of Earth. He saw patterns, openings, and chances. "Commander, turn the ship 30 degrees to port," he said. "Present our strongest shields to the lead ship. That will expose our flank to the other two," Thylas said. "Yes, but only for a moment. Trust me." Thylas made her decision. "Do it." The quiet dawn turned. The lead craft ship found itself facing the strongest shields. It fired, but the shots bounced away. At the same time, Daniel opened fire on the second craft ship, which had moved into position expecting an easy target. The shots hit the second ship's engines. Fire and gas erupted from the wounds. The ship slowed, crippled, and drifting. "One down," Daniel said. In engineering, alarms started ringing. Kevin's hands flew across the console, rerouting power and sealing damaged sections. A coolant line had burst, and the temperature was rising. "I need someone to close the manual valve in Section 4, Kevin shouted. "The temperature there is too high," one of the engineers said. "No one can survive that." Kevin grabbed a tool and ran toward the section. "I can." He reached the valve in minutes. The heat was intense, enough to cook a Valoran alive. But Kevin was human. He had grown up in a place where summer temperatures could kill, where factory workers sweated through shifts in conditions that would be lethal to most species. He closed the valve with his bare hands, ignoring the pain. When he returned to the main console, his hands were red and burned. But the coolant was flowing again, and the engines were stable. "How did you do that?" an engineer asked. "Practice," Kevin said, and went back to work. The battle continued. The lead craft ship pressed its attack, trying to break through the shields. But Daniel kept the quiet dawn moving, always turning, always presenting its strongest defenses. The weapons fired again and again, keeping the enemy off balance. "The third ship is retreating," Kira reported. "It is moving toward faster than light speed." The lead craft ship realized it was alone. Its partner was crippled, its ally was running, and this strange survey ship would not stop fighting. The commander of the craft vessel made a decision. He turned his ship and ran, following the third vessel into the darkness of space. The bridge of the quiet dawn was silent for a long moment. Then cheering erupted from the crew. They had won. Against 3 raider ships, they had won. Thylas looked at Daniel. He was still standing at the weapons console, his hands steady despite everything. He did not celebrate. He simply watched the screen until he was certain the enemy was truly gone. "You saved us," Thylas said. Daniel shook his head. "We saved each other. Your crew fought well." In engineering, the Valoran engineers gathered around Kevin. They looked at his burned hands with horror and amazement. He had walked into fire for them. He had suffered pain to keep them alive. "You need medical attention," one of them said. Kevin looked at his hands and shrugged. "I've had worse. Lisa will fix me up." In the medical bay, Lisa was already treating the first wounded crew member. She worked quickly and calmly, stitching wounds and applying medicine. When Kevin arrived with his burned hands, she simply sighed and pointed to a bed. "Again?" she said. "You know me," Kevin replied with a tired smile. "I cannot help myself." The Valorans who witnessed this moment told others. Soon the whole ship knew what the humans had done. They had fought, they had burned, they had bled. And they had never stopped, never given up, never surrendered. This was what it meant to come from a Deathworld. This was what humanity could do. The Valoran space station hung in orbit around a pale blue world. It was massive, home to millions of beings from dozens of different species. Ships came and went constantly, carrying trade goods, diplomats, and travelers. It was the center of civilization in this part of the galaxy. The Quiet Dawn docked at one of the outer ports. News of the battle had traveled ahead of them. By the time the ship arrived, everyone knew about the three strange beings from the Class-15 Deathworld. Everyone had heard the stories of how they fought, how they survived, how they refused to give up no matter what. Commander Thelis escorted Daniel, Lisa, and Kevin through the station corridors. Aliens of all shapes and sizes stopped to stare at them. Some looked curious. Others looked afraid. The humans walked with their heads held high, ignoring the attention. "The Council has agreed to meet with you," Thelis explained. "They want to hear your story directly. What should we expect?" Daniel asked. "I do not know," Thelis admitted. "Some council members are already calling for your species to be quarantined. They believe humans are too dangerous to be allowed into galactic society." Lisa frowned. "We did not ask for this. We were just trying to help our people." "I know. I will speak on your behalf. But in the end, the decision belongs to the council." The council chamber was a great circular room with seats rising in tiers around a central platform. Representatives from 24 species filled the seats, their various bodies creating a strange and colorful display. At the top tier sat the High Arbiter, an elderly Valoran named Morath, whose compound eyes had grown cloudy with age. The three humans walked to the center platform. They stood together, shoulder to shoulder, facing the assembled leaders of the galaxy. "You are the beings from the Deathworld," High Arbiter Morath said. His voice was old but strong. "Earth, as you call it. A Class-15 world, the most dangerous classification in our system." "That is correct," Daniel replied. "You fought against Krath Raiders. You helped save the Quiet Dawn and her crew. You showed courage and skill that surprised many who have heard the reports." "We did what we had to do," Daniel said. "We protected people who needed protection. That is what humans do." A representative from another species spoke up. It was a tall, slender being with silver skin. "Your kind is dangerous. The strength you showed in battle, the resistance to pain and heat, the ability to heal from wounds that would kill us. How can we trust that you will not use these abilities against us?" Daniel took a moment before answering. "You are right that we are strong. Our world made us that way. For thousands of years, we fought to survive against everything Earth could throw at us. But we also learned something important during that time. We learned that cooperation is better than conflict. We learned that building is better than destroying." Lisa stepped forward. "I am a doctor. I spent my life learning how to heal people, not hurt them. On our world, we have dedicated vast resources to medicine, to science, to making life better for everyone. Yes, we can fight, but we would rather help." Kevin spoke next. "I am an engineer. I build things. That is what I love. The same strength that lets me survive high temperatures also lets me work longer, solve harder problems, create better solutions. Humans are not just warriors. We are builders, dreamers, and creators." Another council member raised a question. "You say you prefer peace, but your history is filled with war. Your species has fought countless battles against itself. That is true, Daniel admitted. We are not perfect. We have made terrible mistakes. But we have also learned from those mistakes. We built systems to resolve conflicts without violence. We created organizations dedicated to peace. We are still learning, still growing, still trying to be better. The chamber fell silent as the council members considered these words. Finally, High Arbiter Morith spoke again. Commander Thylas, you have traveled with these humans. You have seen them in peace and in battle. What is your judgment? Thylas walked to the platform and stood beside the humans. I was afraid of them when I first learned what they were. A species from a Class-15 world seemed impossible, dangerous, frightening. But what I saw was something different. She looked at Daniel. I saw a leader who put himself in danger to protect others. She looked at Lisa. I saw a healer who worked to save lives, not take them. She looked at Kevin. I saw a builder who suffered pain to keep our ship running. She turned to face the council. Yes, humans are strong. Yes, they are dangerous. But they are also kind, brave, and loyal. They did not have to help us. They could have stayed in the medical bay and let us fight alone. Instead, they stood with us. They bled with us. They won with us. Science Officer Drawl rose from his seat in the gallery. I have studied human biology and culture. They are unlike anything we have encountered. But I believe they represent an opportunity, not a threat. Imagine what we could learn from them. Imagine what we could accomplish together. The council discussed among themselves for what seemed like hours. The three humans waited on the platform, tired but patient. Finally, High Arbiter Morith raised his hand for silence. The council has reached a decision, he announced. The species known as humanity will be granted provisional contact status. A diplomatic mission will be sent to Earth to establish formal relations. These three individuals will serve as cultural advisors, helping both sides understand each other. Relief washed through Daniel's body. They had done it. They had survived the raiders, impressed the aliens, and secured a future for their people among the stars. Thank you, he said. Humanity will not disappoint you. Later, Daniel, Lisa, and Kevin stood at a viewing window, watching as a fleet of ships prepared for the journey to Earth. Diplomats, scientists, and translators filled those vessels, all heading toward the Deathworld that had produced such remarkable beings. They are going to be shocked when they see Earth, Kevin said with a small laugh. The hurricanes alone will terrify them. We should warn them about mosquitoes, Lisa added, and traffic, and spicy food. Daniel smiled. They will learn to love it, just like we learned to survive it. He watched the ships beginning to move, carrying hope and possibility toward his homeworld. Humanity had been alone in the universe for so long. Now they were part of something bigger. They had found their place among the stars. The galaxy was afraid of what we could destroy, Lisa said quietly. Maybe now they will see what we can build. Daniel nodded. That is the human way. We survive, we adapt, and we make things better. That is what we have always done. The ships jumped to faster than light speed, disappearing in flashes of light. A new chapter in human history had begun. And somewhere in the vast darkness of space, the universe was learning what it truly meant to be from a death world.